of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the August 30th, 2018 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair. And joining me today is Commissioner Bueller. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Commissioner Archer by telephone. Good morning.
Good morning and greetings from Stormont Vale, where I'm being treated for kidney infection. I'm supposed to be discharged today. So, good morning.
Good morning. Hope you get discharged early. So. Madam Clerk, if we could start with our first item.
First item is under unfinished business. Number one, consider approval of request to repurpose 5 vacant positions of Parks and Recreation Administrative Supervisor, 2 Recreation Programmers, and 2 Recreation Program Coordinators into 4 new positions of Deputy Director, Planning and Development Director, Administrative Specialist for Cemetery, and Purchasing Specialist, and reclassification of the position of Weed Director to Weed Supervisor.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. If you recall, a week ago we had a similar item on there. I think I unnecessarily made these look like a larger package than it needed to be. As you can tell from the agenda today, they are split out. The next item will be the 8 vacant positions we want to fill. But these are just, we have, due to retirements, resignations, those type of things, we have a unique opportunity now to repurpose 5 vacant positions into 4 for about a $3,800 savings to the county. Olivia Mayer, our Professional Development and Services Superintendent, is here. Her and the Human Resources Department, Angela Lewis, worked very hard on this for several months to put this together. Be happy to answer any other questions or let Olivia present to you. I think the last meeting, Commissioner Archer asked for some kind of visual. We tried to get that up on the screen today. We're just going to have to hand them out. I'd be glad to bring one by later for Commissioner Archer, but I don't know how I can get him to be able to see it this morning. So, okay. Olivia?
Olivia Mayer, Parks and Recreation. Like John said, together with HR, we were able to look at the structure of our department to ensure the maximum efficiency and effectiveness. What we want to do is make sure that we are using our strategic plan in order to align our department to better meet all of those goals and be able to reach them and achieve them in a timely manner. I do have a breakdown if you guys would like to see it. Yep.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to answer any questions. John?
I guess kind of, Olivia or John, why don't you walk us through these changes and that you said now the 5 vacant positions that we have are going to go away, correct?
Yes.
So the Deputy Director, Planning and Development Director, I guess, kind of walk us through who's going away and who's being created.
Well, we have the Deputy Director, the Park Operations Director, which will be a division that houses green space and land, golf, horticulture, park maintenance, our natural areas, and noxious weed. The other one would be the Planning and Development Division, which will be handling all of our park planning projects, the deferred maintenance, 3R funds. This aligns us to be able to have a center focus on that task as we move forward. So that would be our asset management, our fleet, our contracts and grants, and our facilities.
Okay. And then from after the action is taken, what are we going to wind up with? Just, how is this going to enhance our Shawnee County Parks and Recreation?
It puts several of the divisions, and I know you guys have probably been copied and had some recent presentations down here. We need to improve our park maintenance plan. We need to put some extra time in on that, pull that together so that we're doing all the things we need to do. This really strengthens not only the day-to-day maintenance of parks and recreation, but it also then goes down the lines of where you're I've heard discussions here about 5-year long-term CIP talks and some of those different type of discussions. That's where we really need to get ahead instead of just reacting to the problem of the day, to actually be out 4 and 5 years out in advance. What this really does, it takes the deputy director will run the day-to-day operations over the park services division, the park operations division, and the planning. I will then move into more of a futuristic 3 and 4 years out type position, but then I'll also have day-to-day operations over the financial management, fiscal services, and the professional development services division, which will have our customer service type functions, those type of things in there. Is that?
Yeah, on the weed director position, we took weed director from being a completely separate department to having it fall under the supervision of the Parks and Recreation.
Correct.
And now you have weed director becoming a supervisor. So this seems to be a demotion of the weed director. How does this, explain that one to me?
Well, I would not classify it as a demotion. I would classify it as actually taking what I called an unclassified position, which reported to the Board of County Commissioners and served at the will of the Board of County Commissioners. We looked at that job description that he had. It was nearly identical to what we had in our park maintenance job description, several of our other supervisor-type positions. The actual language in the state statute doesn't call for a director. It actually calls for a supervisor as well, too. So we pulled all of that in, and just so you know that not only me, but you guys were good financial stewards of the monies, that I think this means a 3 cent an hour raise to John Wellborn. It's not anything enormous. It puts him in to working alongside the other supervisors. There are times throughout the year when we can use his expertise on chemicals in chemical applications in some of our decorative gardens, water ponds. There's other weed control type things where we can use him and his staff, and there are times when he could use the help as well too.
Okay. As far as the customer service goes, with our farmers, ranchers, and average citizen of Shawnee County, are they going to notice any customer service difference in the weed department?
Oh, no, the people they would interact with, all of that would stay all of the same. We would just coordinate some of our activities together and take advantage of each other's to try to improve efficiencies if possible.
Commissioner Bueller, questions?
John, the administrative specialist with the cemetery, is that under the fiscal management, financial management and fiscal services division? Is that where that falls?
No, that is actually in the park operations division. The vast majority of their time would be probably not only selling the lot and taking care of the family with the issues and those type of things, but also maintaining and using contracted services to come out and maintain the cemetery, all of those type of things.
Okay.
We also think that position would be able to provide some office support to the operations director.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
You know, one of the reoccurring issues that's kind of come up of late is, as we've contracted out more of our mowing, having the ability to go out and supervise and make sure that the mowing is being done as it's contracted for, is this reorganization or this plan going to allow us to have better supervision of that contracted mowing?
Yes, that is one of the key things that we were trying to get at on here, is to have that person who's, as you'll see, the contracts and grants and stuff are right under that park planning division. They'll work directly with inspecting all of the different parks, following up the contractors to ensure all of that work is being done.
No further questions?
Commissioner Archer, any questions you might have?
The only question I have, Mr. Chair, is for John. John, this changes your focus as department head director. You were telling me about that. Would you explain how that's going to operate?
Yeah, I think the best use of the county commissioners and the citizens of Shawnee County get the best use of me if I'm working not on the day-to-day, taking care of every issue as it comes up, but more of a futuristic planning type position to beginning to set the wheels in motion for where we want the department to be in the next few years. The actual day-to-day operations, I think one commissioner asked about some type of liaison that the public and/or the commission could go to. I think that's what you would see in this deputy as opposed to me.
I think that's key, being able to have more customer service, more feedback with our customers, more responsive answers to questions. I think those are going to be key parts as we develop and continue with the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
So, any other questions, Commissioner Bueller? I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 2, under unfinished business, consider approval of request to refill 8 vacant positions: Parks Operation Director, 2 horticulturists, a Community Events Amenities Supervisor, a Park Maintenance Technician, Sports, 2 Recreation Leaders, and an Office Assistant 2.
Apparently, Olivia believes that her work is now done. She went back and sat down. This item is current vacant positions, making no changes to what their day-to-day functions are. Just like to open them and fill them.
Commissioner Bueller, any questions?
I do not have any. I'll move approval.
Commissioner Archer, any questions?
No, I'll second the motion.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you, Olivia. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are a number of items on the consent agenda, and before we take up the item, I would note that in the audience we do have Louis Kreider, who is an administrator of the coroner's office here today. And the number of the items on the consent agenda are regarding the cremation and interment of unclaimed persons. And so we do have a county policy in place that after a period of time, if there are no persons that step forward to claim a body if a person is deceased in Shawnee County, and there's no relatives that are able to obtain that body, then the county does do a cremation and then a disposal of those cremains. And I know that that's something that does come before us periodically, but we do have a number of them here today. So just noting those individuals and noting them by name so that if anybody does know them, they can step forward to them. Any questions regarding the consent agenda?
No.
Okay. I'll move
Move to
forward.
approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business, A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
We have vouchers totaling $1,926,134.71. Large percentage of that is holding accounts with the state of Kansas, $679,166.49. Our pooled cash with Capers is $322,064.24. And then under the sales tax, there's 2 projects for the Expo, Part B, the Expo boiler, $247,204. And then also there are several pages for the election board workers. Elections comes in at a total of $112,260.99. So if there are no questions, I'll move approval.
Motion for approval of the vouchers by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? The motion passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Treasurer, number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for armored services for a one-year period with automatic renewal each year after, unless services are canceled with a 30-day advance notice.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. This is just a request to ask for competitive bidding for our courier service between the bank and the Treasurer's office. We haven't bid that for the last 6 years, and so it's probably time to go out for competitive bids to make sure we're receiving the best service at the best cost.
Any questions regarding the request?
Thank you. No. I will move approval of the request.
Motion for approval of the request by Commissioner Bueller,
Second?
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item C, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of request to award the bid for a truck with a container hauler with rotator at a cost of $89,181, including trade-in allowance with funding from the Solid Waste Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Flanagan, Public Works, Solid Waste. This is a solid waste item, and I've asked the Deputy Director of Solid Waste, Justin Pike, to present on this. So, Justin?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Commissioners. We are at present requesting the purchase of the container truck to begin the update of our fleet. We felt that this bid gave us the most advantageous financial option, highest trade-in value and best quality at this point in time. The total expenditure for the request is $89,181 for the single vehicle, and no detrimental impacts, financial impacts are anticipated as the result of this approval of the request.
Any questions regarding the request?
No, I have none.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item C2, consider approval of request to award bid to LBB LLC for sand material costs with Shawnee County Department of Public Works loading the sand at a unit price of $5.85 per ton at a total estimated cost of $70,200, paid with funds from a combination of 2018-2019 Public Works Road Maintenance Fund, Monmouth and Grove Township roadway funds, and Facilities Management operational budget as requested.
Tom Flanagan, Public Works. Commissioners, this is the bid we received for our annual sand. We received one bid for sand delivery of materials and loading of that materials. We attempted this year to get two prices, one for material only, one to load our trucks. What we would like to do is we would like to have the award made to LBB to provide the sand material, but reject LBB's bid to load our trucks at $2 a ton. We've done an analysis and we found out we can do that much cheaper with our own vehicles. I had an opportunity to speak with the owner and manager of LBB, and he's acceptable to accepting the material unit price and rejecting the delivery. Or loading, I'm sorry.
The only question I had on this, Tom, is the location is First and Urish, and is this on the north side of the river or south side of the river?
It's on the south side.
Okay.
And here's the issue with that is the land is now owned by Bettis Enterprises, but the sand on that land is owned by LBB.
Okay.
But when we went for loading it, then I asked the question to both Bettis, Eric Bettis, and to LBB, would it be okay to bring our loaders and our trucks onto Bettis's property to load LBB's sand? And they had no problems with that.
Okay. And then also, as we heard routinely, as Kansas Sand and Gravel comes up for their renewal, the neighbors are always concerned with the number of trucks that are coming through. Is this going to have any undue burden on the neighborhood with our trucks coming through?
Yeah, different location, Commissioner. This one is at First and Urish Road, and that one's out at Valencia Road. And also, right now, Kansas Sand is kind of backed off on hauling out of their pit right on the south side of the river at the north end of Valencia Road. They're doing some maintenance on their dredging equipment, so I don't know when they're going to start back into operations.
I just want to make sure that I know this has become a sensitive issue over the years with sand extraction and sand removal, and just making sure that we're on top of it. So I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Bueller.
I don't either. I don't have any other questions. I'll move to award the bid to LVB LLC for sand materials and reject the price for loading, correct?
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller. Commissioner Archer, any questions?
Now, just appreciation for Public Works and look at this opportunity to save taxpayer dollars. And I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item D, corrections. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-269-2018 with Swank Motion Pictures, Inc., authorizing the Department of Corrections to show video presentations to inmates and juveniles.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is just the annual renewal of a contract that we have with this company regarding the licensing to be able to show our educational videos and our movies for programs for the Department of Corrections, both the offenders, adult and juvenile. At first when we did this, and this contract we've had for many, many years, there are some legalities and liabilities of not having a proper license to be able to show these movies. And so we adhere to those regulations. This is something that we do budget for, something that we're able to take care of, and this is a very good program that we have.
Any question for Brian?
Just a question, and this does come out of the commissary
Yes,
account?
yes, it's strictly for
Inmate
inmates and
commissary.
offenders, yes.
Thank you. I'll move approval of the contract.
Motion for approval of the contract by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item D2, consider approval of request to reclassify a corrections specialist position to a lead corrections special position, resulting in a salary, including benefits, of $51,232.16.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This currently is a vacant position that we have at the Department of Corrections. I spoke with both, everybody, Betty, Angela, and I did speak with Mike Scribner with the union, because this is a Teamsters union position. When this position became vacant, we always look at our vacancies to see, how we can repurpose, whether they're, what they're doing, things like that. We've invested, and with the approval of the Commissioners, well over almost $70,000, $80,000 into our positive behavior supports. Now we're at the point to where we need to start having the consistent coaching and mentoring of our staff, and this position here does allow us to be able to coach and mentor our staff in the concepts of PBS, the philosophy of PBS, and this person will be a lead worker that is over all the module officers at the Juvenile Detention Center. This is part of the framework that we have not done for the last 2 or 3 years while we're working through PBS, but now we're at the point when we're working with our company and our contractor that we need to assign somebody to that. The first thing we did was we did meet with Mike Scribner to see, number one, if there was any problems, and there was not, and then I met with Betty and Angela regarding the reclassification, finances and stuff like that, and that was all taken positively. So I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item D3, consider approval of request to reclassify an Office Assistant 2 position to an Office Assistant 3 position, resulting in a salary, including benefits, of $47,287.28.
Good morning, Brian Cole again, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This also is a Teamsters union position that we met with the parties that I spoke with before, Betty, Angela, and Mike Scribner regarding. This is a person who is currently an Office Assistant 2 in our classification system. And one of the things now that we've taken over the calculation of time for good time and working closely with the DA, one of our issues is to continue our positive working relationship with them for accurate time calculation and to expedite our journal entries to get inmates that are sentenced to prison so we can get them out.
Earlier, we had a variety of officers that were doing these kind of things. We don't think it needs to be at that level, but we do need to have one person who's doing this. Adding these duties when it comes to the time calculation takes a long time. This person also is doing our billing when it comes to our housing. And when I did speak with some people with HR, this is above that current pay grade. We do have the funds. This was something that when we have a position in the union that's currently filled, one of the things that I want to make sure that I'm able to assure the union that this is not any type of favoritism type thing, that when a position's filled, that this is a person who's doing the job, these are expectations, and we're raising the job duties and responsibilities of this position. And with that, Mike was very receptive of it, understood, and this is also something that's going to help us expedite our journal entries, and something that I've been working on, and just the other day had a conversation with Judge Parrish. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
Thanks for the explanation. I'll move approval.
Okay, motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item E, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-270-2018 with Yamaha Motor Finance Corporation USA for lease of 8 new golf cars and 5 new utility cars for a total of 202 in the fleet, and contract C-271-2018 for refurbishing 15 utility cars that are in the current leased fleet at a combined cost of $161,394, with $134,028 from the Earned Income Fund, Golf Division, and $27,366 to be paid from the corresponding operating budgets from the cart usage.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kerry Golden, Director of Golf, Shawnee County Parks and Rec. Mr. Knight had asked that I give you a quick update of a project that we had at Cypress Ridge last year, our cart path project. As you recall, May 15th, we approved, the approval was given to begin the cart path project on holes 10 through 18 at a total cost of $493,678.50. And we came back also in August, on August 10th, for approval for a change order to do additional work on holes 7, 8, and 9 at Cypress Ridge also. The project was completed last October, and the project was funded through the Parks and Rec Building Maintenance Fund. The Earned Income Fund also is generated through the user fees and the golfers' cart revenue, and all that is used to repay the Building Maintenance Fund for that project. We've given reimbursed the Building Maintenance Fund $30,000 that was done earlier in the year. And then also we had approved collecting $1 per greens fee to go back and be repaid to the Building Maintenance Fund. And year-to-date, we're at $20,187 on that for a total repayment thus far of $50,188. This year has been a little bit rough. National Golf Foundation reports the number of rounds for our region, and we're down about 5%, and this is due to the third coldest April on record, and then also the extreme heat and drought that we've had this year. But despite the weather conditions in 2018, so far Cypress Ridge has seen a 7.76% increase in rounds played and 11.58% increase in overall revenue, with $13,000 more in golf cart revenues compared to what we were last year. The agenda item before you is the golf cart lease contract with Yamaha. This is our current lease agreement. Municipal lease is for a 5-year lease, and it also gives us the option to trade in for new units after the 3rd year. In our current agreement, we have 189 total carts, and we're requesting an additional 13 to bring a total of 202 carts. Yamaha has requested for 2 separate contracts, one contract being for new vehicles and one contract being for refurbished utility carts, and I'll get into the utility carts here in a second. But the total numbers below reflect the total number of carts we have, so we're 194 at all of our golf courses and 5 at the Bettis Family Sports Complex, 1 at the County Corrections, Department of Corrections, and 2 carts at the Gage Park Greenhouse. The lease payment would be an annual payment of $161,394 per year for all the carts, on all the utility carts. That's the combined of the 2 contracts. And with Cypress Ridge and Lake Shawnee paying $134,028 per year out of the Earned Income Fund. And once again, that's generated through user fees. Bettis, Department of Corrections, and Gage Park would fund the balance of that. 2017, our number, the round, or revenues that we generated off carts at our golf courses was $592,960.01 from Cypress, Forbes, and Lake Shawnee. The refurbished units, the second contract for used vehicles, it's a request for another 5-year lease agreement on these 15 refurbished utility carts for the golf courses, Bettis, Corrections, and Gage Park Greenhouse. Those units would receive the full factory warranty. Also, we have chosen, if you see the pictures of the golf carts, the refurbished one is the one we have in our existing fleet, which it would be gone over, engine work on them if needed be, and body work and new seat covers and things like that. But they would get the full factory warranty on them. The new unit, it's called the U-Max. You can see they've kind of dressed it up a little bit more, and it is a little bit more expensive. But we've chosen to just have the refurbished units reconditioned, and reason for that is the cost. The lease payment on a refurbished cart is $690 per year, compared to a new utility cart is $1,500 per year, saving $110 per year. So be happy to answer any question that you may have.
Any questions?
No, I do not have any questions. Thanks for the update on Cypress Ridge.
You bet. Thank you.
Commissioner Archer, any questions?
No questions. I'll move to approve the contracts.
Second.
Before you make a motion, I know Kerry mentioned it, but I don't think he really emphasized it a lot. All of the cart rental fees, all of that stuff at Lake Shawnee and Cypress Ridge Golf Course, no tax dollars are being used. That's all the golfers' user fees, and I just wanted to re-emphasize that point.
Good point.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
So, motion made by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by
Yes.
Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next item.
Item E2, consider authorization and execution of contract C272-2018, addendum of C331-2015 with Jets Service Company, Inc. for the equipment and service of washing machines and dryers at Lake Shawnee campgrounds, with Jet Service retaining 50% of gross receipts.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is basically an amenity that we supply at the campground, and there's no cost to the county for that. They provide the washing machine. If it breaks, they fix it. So it's a kind of a win situation for us at the campground to have that service there. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Thank you. No.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item E3, consider authorization and execution of contract C273-2018 with the Boys and Girls Club of Topeka for the continued management of the Juan Poppy Abbott Community Center.
Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Fowler-Hensler, Parks and Recreation. Keeping with the vision statement for Parks and Recreation, we have been developing partnerships since we've consolidated the city and the Shawnee County departments. We've had several partnerships, dozens of them just in the rec division alone. I think in the last couple of years, we have 16 partnerships that we have developed to help us operate programs to higher risk youth and community members that have reduced the cost to taxpayers into our operational budget and staffing. One of the first partnerships developed with Shawnee County Parks and Rec after consolidation was with the Boys and Girls Club to operate the teen center at Abbott. And we are asking for you to renew that contract with us today. And Don McWilliams is here, and I know nobody could probably tell you better than Don.
as far as the success of the teen center over at Abbott. So Dawn is here if you have some questions about that.
Don, would you mind just coming up? I'd really like to take a moment and recognize all the hard work that you and your team have put into the Abbott Community Center. 5 years ago, we were down to an attendance of about 15 youth at the Abbott Community Center. So where are we at today?
We have 240 enrolled teen members at the teen center.
Thank you. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So what are some of the things that happen at the Abbott Community Center today?
It's just been a growing, incredible, impactful experience for teens. The need is a priority, especially now. Could not be a more important time, especially for teens. We've had an incredible, productive summer. There were 12 immersion campus opportunities for kids. They went to 12 campuses throughout Kansas and experienced college life, met with kids who have come from similar backgrounds so that they understand the journeys that they need to take in order to be successful to go on to secondary education opportunities. A lot of work this summer was done between our teens and law enforcement. There was a lot of tension and a lot of challenges that were brewing, and so we brought those two entities together. So a lot of relationship fostering, a lot of fun, a lot of really frank, important conversations that occurred between law enforcement and our kids, but most importantly, bridge building, connecting to families to make sure that our families were engaged in understanding what their teens were going through. 92% of the kids that we provide services to at our teen center live at or below poverty level. So they're the population that we want to be targeting, and we also want to be supporting the family best of their efforts as well, our efforts as well. One of the most exciting announcements that we have is that our kids for the past year and a half have been working on a business plan. As you know, Community Action closed down the food pantry in that area that really hit that neighborhood very, very hard. And so the kids have been the teens have been working on a business plan to restore a teen run food pantry in that area, and that will launch on September 12th. Nice. Will be fully stocked with fresh produce as well as the many necessities that those families in that area need, as well as the needs of our teens and their families too. So we're very excited to be able to provide that to the community.
Also, your center also does a number of meals for youth. How many meals a month or a week are we giving to youth?
Well, I can tell you this summer, the Teen Center alone provided over 18,000 meals to kids. Those were not only to our club members, but also to children in the neighborhood that came over, as well as other entities within the vicinity that wanted to access. And again, I wanted to emphasize the importance of the relationship that we have with Parks and Rec. This past year, we were able to fully renovate the lower level of the Teen Center, which was a goal that we had when we first started with that center. It was a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of sweat equity, but it came to fruition. And one of the biggest outcomes was being able to fully renovate that commercial kitchen, which was once really important, I know, for the East Topeka Senior Center to provide meals to seniors, but now it's providing meals to teens. We're not only providing meals, but we're also providing food service training for kids. Food handling, Kansas Department of Health and Environment has been partnering with us on food safety and helping kids understand the importance of that. So lots of continuing education opportunities.
The Abbott Center's also had a number of partners within the community. Some of the partners are Advisors Excel. I think that Lowe's came out. Who are some of the others?
Yes, Walmart. I feel like you could do this presentation, Commissioner. Some of our investors include Walmart. They made the food pantry possible. Lowe's stepped forward and not only provided fiscal support, but also manpower to help us renovate the lower level. Shawnee County Parks and Rec has been amazing at helping us restore all the necessities that we needed to do in that lower level as well. Advisors Excel. Washburn University has been amazing. We work with them on having mentors. Topeka Police Department, Shawnee County Sheriff's Department did a week-long camp with the kids this summer. But the community has been amazingly welcoming to us in all of our efforts to help build a brighter future for those kids.
I think it's a great success story. I mean, oftentimes we have a lot of attention put towards younger children, a lot of attention put towards high school children, but the teens often get left out, and teens are at that critical age of whether their life path is going to be a positive one or a negative one. And so everything that we do in the community to make it a positive impact, I really appreciate everything that you and your team do. And so I think it's just, 18,000 meals, the 240 youth every afternoon that are at the community center, that's really the positive impact. So thank you, Dawn.
Great. And I would just echo that, but Parks and Rec has had a small part in this, an important part, but you are trusted. You and the Boys and Girls Club, they're trusted in this community, and don't underestimate your impact, Dawn, on this entire experience for just expanding opportunities for our teens. You should be commended a huge amount, I think, because you do a great job.
It takes a village, it truly does. It
Yeah,
takes a village.
but you have boundless energy and such a huge commitment and a huge heart for our teens, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Archer, do you have anything else you might want to add?
Well, yes, I'd like to thank Don and Parks and Rec, but I also want to recognize Commissioner Cook, who really made this partnership a success and deserves a lot of credit in moving this forward. But yes, it's been a tremendous partnership and very successful. So I'll move to approve the contract.
Motion to approve the contract by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item F, Facilities Maintenance. Number 1, consider approval of request for the purchase of furniture for the courthouse snack bar at a total cost of $33,810 with funding from the courthouse snack bar renovation project fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. This item is to finish up the snack bar renovations. All the physical work in the room is essentially done. We would like to get new furniture, which would include booths, tables, new chairs, some coffee-type tables, lower lounge chairs we would put throughout the room and kind of give it a whole, fresh, brand-new appearance. And we should have the money. If we don't have the money, Jennifer's here to answer any questions regarding the funding. I think we're in pretty good shape, though. We did most of that work in-house, and staff saved us quite a bit.
Right, a lot, yeah.
Any questions regarding this item?
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller. All second. Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications. Number 1, presentation by Brent Hulsether regarding the positive outcomes of the fleet plan for management services and replacement of vehicles and equipment.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight again, Parks and Recreation. I got going a little fast this morning on a couple of those things. I'm really happy that Commissioner Archer brought that up about Commissioner Cook. I know Dawn has already left, but there were many times in the negotiations when we actually started that process with the Boys and Girls Club, and Commissioner Cook stepped up numerous times and made sure that the project stayed on track and kept going, and he deserves a lot of thanks for getting that program started as well, too. The other thing, too, is we had on there some positions on earlier, and a couple other people have had some position changes, too. I think we kind of understated all of the help that we were getting from Angela Lewis at the Human Resources Department. I want to thank her for all of the work she's done on that. One of the reasons why it took as long to get down here is she wouldn't let me do everything I wanted to do, doggone it. She said something about county policies and something like that was always getting in my way. But she has done a tremendous job and worked really hard to help us get there.
Between Betty Griner, Jim Crowell, and Angela Lewis, I think we've got you under wraps. It takes a village.
Well, at the risk of somebody having to prove themselves, Cindy Beck calls me pretty regular and keeps me on track, too. So I don't want her to feel like she needs to step her game up. The item that we have here this morning is, during our budget presentation, Commissioner Archer asked some questions about how many vehicles we have, why do we have those vehicles. I gave you an answer, but I did not give you a very good answer. When that meeting was over, I went back and we talked with staff, and I told Brent Holsether, who is our fleet maintenance supervisor, and he said, well, we've got a detailed plan for this, and the more and more I talked to him, I says, you just need to come down to the county commission when we get through our main summer season here and present this to the county commissioners. He's here today. This was one of our previous reorganization type changes we made when we put Brent in charge of the fleet services. He's come up with a fleet services plan. When you hear mechanic, I know you think probably that he's fixing trucks and backhoes and things like that, but I am able to continue to put into each one of these job descriptions, including his, and other duties as assigned by the director. So he gets stuck with things like the mobile recreation unit, the mini train, also the building of a duck box, which was a little bit of a stretch on my part, the big duck race thing that we opened. He built all of that kind of stuff. I said it was a vehicle for rubber ducks, and he went ahead and built it, and it's a wonderful addition to the event. But to tell you some of the, as I'm introducing him here, some of the other things that he's done is he's really led in the last less than a year a big charge on a lot more efficient operation of our fleet. We began replacing a lot of the old half-ton and three-quarter-ton pickups, which used a lot of fuel, and it was a systematic approach that he's implemented here. We have a lot more Priuses out there. In fact, we're estimating over 3,000 gallons of fuel that we've saved just in the 8 months since he started this program. That doesn't count all of the needed, the lessened needed repairs on repairing our older vehicles with the newer ones that we've gotten through a fleet lease. He's just done a tremendous job with those. He's also led the charge. I don't know if you saw our vehicles that we have out there now. He's also bought into the branding and helped with that of letting the public know that we're going more cost efficient, if you've seen some of our vehicles and some of those type of things. With that being said, just a little personal things about him. Brent's raised 15 children, 9 of them biological and 6 adopted. Brent and his wife also regularly teach foster classes for the state of Kansas. So not only is he busy at Shawnee County, he's busy and he's off time as well too. With that, I'd like to introduce Brent Holsether, who will kind of update you on our vehicle and maintenance plan.
Welcome, Brent.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Brent Holsether, Fleet Services Supervisor. Our fleet maintenance plan, fleet management plan, I should say. The purpose of this plan was to firstly meet the CAPRA standard 7.6A, which outlined the need for a replacement plan. It's also to create best management practices for fleet management, and of course educate and inform our citizens to our goals of being good stewards of tax dollars. The approach to our plan is first to determine what the useful life cycle is for our vehicles and equipment. We have a very seasonal department, which means that we have maybe some different life cycles than like a sheriff's department and public works. So we, with a combination of that and using industry standards, we're trying to determine, how long things should last. We're working with staff to meet their needs. I kind of look at the supervisors for Shawnee County Parks and Rec as my customers. So we've developed a customer service questionnaire to make sure that we're doing the things that they need us to do. We've also developed an equipment questionnaire, which basically kind of asks the people that are using the equipment if it's doing the job that's needed, and if something might work better. If it's not doing the job, how can we improve it? We, of course, want to make sure that our equipment and vehicles are being properly operated and they're safe. We want to make sure that preventive maintenance is being done, We want to maintain inventory records and repair cost records using Cartograph. One of the questions that Commissioner Archer asked was, what is the right number of vehicles for Parks and Rec? Our fleet management plan, which I hope you guys received, if not, we can get one to you, addresses what vehicles and equipment are needed and that they are being properly utilized. The number of vehicles that we have in our fleet has dropped and will probably continue to drop over, at least over the next year. In 2016, we had 131 licensed vehicles. That number dropped in 2017 to 127. When we started 2018, we were at 119, and we're actually at about 114 right now. We're kind of expecting to be about that. Being a seasonal business, basically, we have to evaluate these things after the busiest season, and we haven't had an opportunity to do that, to go through each of the vehicles and the equipment to make sure they're being utilized properly. We have categorized our fleet into 4 different types of vehicles. The first being daily use. An example might be our supervisors' trucks that go around and check all the parks. Our fleet services trucks, vehicles that are used, if not daily, almost several days a week. We also have seasonal use vehicles that are used for tending weeds, spreading mulch, removing debris, hauling mowers, doing all the day-to-day jobs around the parks. We have some shared use vehicles. There's times when one department or in one location, it doesn't make sense for to have a vehicle assigned to them. But if we can, if there's 2 or 3 different departments that can use a vehicle and share it, and then we have something available for those employees to get around. And then we have some special use vehicles. Some examples might be like plow trucks for the wintertime. One good example is our sweeper truck. It might only get used 30 or 40 days a year, but sweeper trucks are expensive to maintain and very expensive to rent. So over $1,000 a day to rent one of those trucks, if you can find somebody that will rent you one. So right now we have 46 daily use vehicles. There's 53 seasonal use vehicles, 4 share use vehicles, and 11 special use vehicles. To kind of see how that ties into our employees, we do have 74 permanent employees. But along with that, and at our peak in the summertime, we have 308 intermittent employees, 272 temporary employees, bringing the total to about 654. So we do have, at 114 vehicles, that's a lot of vehicles, but there are times of the years where we definitely need all of them. Those vehicles are assigned all throughout our division here. We have administration with 3, Parks and Rec, or I should say Recreation and Camps, 8, Green Space Horticulture uses 22, Green Space Park Maintenance uses 17, Green Space Natural Areas, which does also include forestry, uses 10, Golf with 5, Community Events 2, Aquatics 2, Shelters 11, Sports 8, Construction 11, Fleet 4, Park Police 6, Centers 3, Programming 1, and Old Prairie Town has 1. Another question that Commissioner Archer had asked is, why do we have Prii and Camrys? To be honest with you, I had to look up what the the plural of a Prius was. And, Google says it's Prii, so that's what I'm going with. We have 5 Prius Vs. A Prius V, the V is for versatile, and a Prius V is kind of is a little bit bigger model of a Prius. It's about 4 inches taller, has bigger doors. It's about 8 inches longer, and it's almost kind of a mini minivan. The Prius V was the most economical and reliable vehicle that would meet the needs for our shelter cleanup crews. We based that on research from Government Fleet, as well as a 13-year study by the City of New York comparing 6,800 hybrid vehicles to about 20,000 non-hybrids. It's a very long document, the City of New York report, but basically what they came up with is hybrid vehicles cost more to begin with. But they're much better on fuel, they're much better on repairs, and they get much better resale. So on those 6,800 vehicles that they studied, they averaged about $10,800 savings over the life of the vehicle. We also looked at some numbers. Government Fleet is a publication centered around the operation and management of government fleets. And one of their services is to provide information for people like me to try and decide what kind of vehicles are needed, will suit our purposes. They provide cost per mile data through Vincentric. And what we came up with is looking at the vehicles that would meet our needs for cleanup crews. The Prius V came in at about 32 cents a mile. The Ford Transit Connect came in at 36 cents a mile, and the Chevrolet City Express about 35 cents a mile. We also, the Toyota Camry hybrids, we decided to go with for our park police vehicles. There are a number of very good police vehicles available. Our department has maybe a little bit different usage than, say, the Sheriff's Department or the Pekin Police Department. We maybe don't need quite so much room as some other people, some other departments. So the Toyota Camry hybrid came in at about 32 cents per mile. The Ford Police Interceptor was about 42 cents a mile. The Chevy Tahoe at 52 cents a mile, and a Dodge Charger about 43 cents a mile. And to give you an idea of the difference there, the Chevy Tahoe would cost about $1.50 extra every time you drove around the lake. So there's considerable difference there. Our hybrid vehicles, these numbers are through about the middle of June. Basically, we've driven them about 69,000 miles. During that time, we used about 1,844 gallons, which gave us about 37.5 miles per gallon. The trucks that we were using before we bought these averaged about 13.39 miles per gallon. So it would have been about 5,165 gallons to go the same distance. So that's about 3,300 gallons saved, or about $8,800. I did look at the numbers, the most recent numbers this morning. We're looking at about 78,000 miles driven now. The miles per gallon is up to about 40 miles per gallon. The gallons saved is more like 3,800 gallons and about $10,000 saved. The type of usage that a vehicle sees can greatly affect the efficiency of the vehicle. And the more short, slow trips a vehicle is used for, the more efficient a hybrid is when compared with traditional gasoline engine. And our park police and cleanup vehicles are used almost entirely for short, slow trips. to kind of sum up what our fleet management plan is for, it outlines how to best equip the staffing we have. It defines the fleet management responsibilities, spells out the types of services performed, provides a vehicle and equipment rating system for replacement, defines vehicle usage types, sets procedure for determining adequate usage, and then outlines the creation of a fleet advisory committee to help fleet services prioritize what needs to be replaced. I would like to thank commissioners for allowing me to go to the fleet management conference earlier this year. I'm kind of new to the management end of it. I've been turning wrenches for a long time, but it was very helpful in kind of exploring some of these ideas, and hope to continue doing more of that. If you have any questions, I do my very best to answer them.
Brent, as the fleet supervisor, is there one thing that really surprised you going in that you wouldn't have anticipated maybe today?
Well, mechanics like to fix things. So a mechanic's philosophy is just keep fixing it. And that doesn't always make the best business sense. There's usually some room in between there where between brand new and completely rotting into the dust, where you probably had ought to get rid of some stuff. So I've had to kind of change my philosophy on that a little bit, and have learned that there's a lot of good ideas out there that I wasn't aware of, and I'm trying to catch up.
Commissioner Bueller.
Great information. Thanks for sharing it all. It's a very structured process.
Thank you.
Commissioner
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really impressed, very systematic, and answers a lot of the questions that I had, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Brent.
Thanks.
Are there any other administrative communications this morning?
Morning, Commissioners. Justin Pike, Deputy Director of Solid Waste. My staff would be remiss, and they text me while I was sitting there to make sure to remind you that it is the beginning of the month. Household hazardous waste facility is conducting their free drop-off and collection from all household hazardous waste. Most popular right now is the pool chemicals and the paint, from the summer projects and what have you. Also, we're going to be attending the Touch a Truck event downtown as well, and I think Public Works has some trucks there too. So really encourage the public kind of get in there, let you flip the flipper on the back of the vehicle and dump some totes, and maybe even put you to work if possible. So, but no, just wanted to make sure I got that. And otherwise, my household hazardous waste director, Eddie down there, he was going to pay attention whether I actually announced that or not. So I apologize, did not do that earlier. But
While we're here, Labor Day, is this going to affect any pickup for trash customers?
as always, we will have the holiday schedule. Pay attention to the website. There has been some changes and updates as far as the pickup on the red and blue schedule and the refuse pickup as well for both recycling and refuse. So it's just, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or check the website at that point in time.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. Over the last 3 days, I sent you a brief email. Over the last 3 days, we've had an accreditation team from the American Correctional Association that has come in to evaluate and survey the operation completely for the Juvenile Detention Center. This is the second round, basically our reaccreditation. We had our debriefing yesterday morning. The 3-team panel from all over the United States came in, one from Oklahoma, and one that the guy from Oklahoma was an Oklahoma State fan, and he wanted to talk football, we talked basketball, so we didn't get anywhere. One from Texas and one from Atlanta, Georgia. But basically, our audit consisted of 2 things. One of them is our file component, which means we have 30 mandatory standards, which you have to meet 100%, and we have 392 standards that are non-mandatory, and you have to meet 90% of those. And when you create your files, you have to not only put the standards, you have to put all your policies, but then be able to provide your actual paperwork to validate that your actual practice is what the standard meets. And then the last component is quality of life. They look at the cleanliness of the facility, the morale of the facility, do staff, do the inmates, do the offenders feel safe, things like that, food, medical, and so on. Of the files, of the 30 mandatory standards, we met 100%, which you have to. And then of the non-mandatory, we had 392. The team first has to decide which ones are applicable to us. They found that only 371 of the standards applied to Shawnee County, and of that, we scored a 99.7%. When they rounded that up, they did say it was 100%, which they said we did meet into an elite company, which would put, if the findings hold true going to the next committee, that would put us in the top 100 or 1% of juvenile operations, which I was very proud of staff. The quality of life issues, the chair from Oklahoma had indicated that this probably was the cleanest facility he's ever been in. Staff were professional, they felt safe, morale was good, they cared about the kids talked well about staff, the operation. And when you're dealing with correctional food service, typically no one talks good about correctional food service, but they didn't have a lot of complaints. It is institutional food. They did talk a great deal about leadership, and while I do believe that the Department of Corrections has good leadership, I wanted to quickly remind him that it wasn't about us. It was about the staff who are out there every day, that are in the modules, that are dealing with the kids. They are going to have an influence on these kids. They will remember the officers and things like that. But the next stage is they will send the report. It was a very good report. They will send it to ACA. In January, we're going to have to travel to meet in front of a board who will give us the final say. So, I don't want to say anything official until we get the final word, but if they go to that, this was a very successful accreditation and survey, and it just goes to the commitment that the juvenile staff have. The community should be very proud that, because one of the things that the commissioner, or all the audit people said, that if they found their kid in trouble, they would say Shawnee County is where they would want their kid to be if they did find themselves in trouble. So with that, I was very proud of staff. I came in, visited with all the briefings and stuff like that, and let the staff know it was about them. So I wanted to make sure you were updated.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Craig Barnes, Health Department. Two updates for you today. The first of which is each September is National Preparedness Month. So this coming September, in partnership with Emergency Management, our Health Department preparedness staff will be creating some resources and some educational videos on topics that include making an emergency plan, learning life-saving skills, building a preparedness kit, and educating children regarding emergencies. So it's our goal to create some, like I said, educational videos that will go out weekly, every Friday, that we'll be sharing in partnership with Emergency Management through our social media avenues. The second item that I wanted to share is our director, Linda Oakes, has shared with you numerous times over the last month is in regards to our community health needs assessment. So I did want to just give you a quick update. We do have over 2,200 surveys that have been completed so far through this process. So that is 1,000 more than our last iteration of the community health needs assessment. So that's in big thanks to a lot of the people that are in this room who have gotten that information out, our community partners who have had the paper survey, something new that we did this year that we have not done in the past. And then something else I wanted to point out was that we made a Spanish survey this year, which was the first time that we'd ever done something of that sort, and so we did get some good answers and good usage of that Spanish survey as well. So really excited about this. We'll have some really good numbers to crunch for this next iteration of the needs assessment. What I also wanted to mention is the survey does close tomorrow, so if there are individuals who are interested in taking the survey, they still have time and can take it until tomorrow. So if you haven't taken it, looking at people in this room, all right, go ahead and hop on out there and take that survey. I did want to mention, too, that we will be, the next stage of this will be starting Tuesday, September 11th. What we're going to be hosting for the first time as well this year are going to be some community focus groups. The goal of these is to really get out into the community in some of the areas where we haven't reached out to in the past, to get the actual perceptions of the health needs of the community and going to them to get those. So that's kind of a change of philosophy for us from years past, so we're excited about that. Those will start on Tuesday, September 11th. Our first one will be at the Avondale East Net Center from 5:30 to 7. And then we'll be hosting two additional ones on Thursday, September 13th, one of which will be a lunchtime one in Silver Lake at the Silver Lake United Methodist, and from 11:30 to 1, and then one in the evening at the Oakland Community Center from 5:30 to 7. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks.
Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Bueller, anything
I
to share?
don't have anything other than everybody have a safe weekend, and our thanks to all the employees of Shawnee County for your hard work and dedication every day of the year. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Commissioner Archer, anything?
Yes, Commissioner Bueller's exactly right. We do appreciate all the efforts of our employees, and I wish everyone a happy and safe Labor Day weekend. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. With over 1,100 employees, we could not accomplish everything we do at Shawnee County without our employees, and it's good to remember that as we take a Labor Day break. As a reminder, there is a lot going on in the community. If you can't find something to do, that's on you. So there's a lot to do downtown as well as out in the county. We will not have a commission meeting on Monday due to Labor Day, and then we will not have a commission meeting on Thursday, so we will be back then on the 10th, and I expect everybody to be prepared for us to continue discussion of the comprehensive plan. So with that, our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There is not a need for an executive session. We are adjourned.